Now, if they're taking, since they're not really taking, because assisted living is, most of them are private pay. So you don't have a lot of government money other than maybe medications, some type of physical therapy. If there are some auxiliary services that are being provided that are being paid through the Medicare system, but normally it's not. Normally it's private pay. So you've got the Health and Welfare Agency at the very top, and it filters down. So that's how assisted living works. In the long-term care nursing home environment, again, you've got the same group of people that monitor nursing homes as the assisted living side. So you've got the Department of Health Services licensing and certification again, then who monitors them. There is another level. There's a audits and investigation that is in with the Department of Health Services. That if it gets really bad, audits and investigation goes in and monitors what the Department of Health Services Licensing and Certification Office did or did not do. Then above that is where the Secretary of Health and Welfare is the ultimate responsibility for that. Not too many people know about that. And I only know about it because we got involved with that when my aunt died. I found out that there was an audits and investigation, and they were the ones that really went in, audits and investigations before the Attorney General, in concert with the Attorney General, to find out what happened with that complaint. And they're the ones that came to me and said, there is no complaint on record. And that's when I opened up my file and pulled it all out and handed it to them, and they were horrified. I think another important issue is discharge planning from acute hospitals when there is a need for either physical therapy or some other service that has to be provided to the patient, and it could possibly even be long-term care that the person will be in the facility the rest of their life. So you've got a discharge planner in an acute hospital that is the person that's going to work with you to get your family member, the consumer, placed. Now, keep in mind that it is the family's decision and the patient's decision, if the patient is capable of making a decision, where you go for rehab. Nobody says you have to go to a nursing home if you do not want to. Facility or acute hospitals cannot release you or your mother, whoever it is, cannot release the patient somewhere that they do not approve of. And most people do not know that. You know, you're in a stressful situation, nobody really plans for nursing home placement. Say that your mother has a stroke, and you know, the acute hospitals nowadays, they want to get you out of there as soon as possible. Because unfortunately, the medical profession now is money motivated. So they want you out of that hospital, out of that acute bed, into other placement. So they're going to try to get you out of that hospital as soon as possible. Keep in mind that you do not have to leave that hospital if you do not want to. You have to fight them for it. And if you're under Medicare, you have a right to appeal. And I think the appeal is 72 hours. Then if you're not satisfied, you can appeal again. And basically, the acute hospital cannot send you somewhere it has not been approved. It's called patient dumping. So keep that in mind. Now, working with the discharge planners, my experience has been that most discharge planners never see the inside of facilities that they are recommending. They don't see them. They have no idea. They look at a list. They check on beds that are available, or if you're in a not HMO, but if you're in a Kaiser situation, Kaiser doctors only go to certain nursing homes, so that's the only nursing homes that they list. And they said, here's your choices, you have to go there. And we're moving your mother in 6 hours, so you better find a place. Well, that's illegal to do that. You have the right to go and search out for proper placement. So don't let them force you someplace where you don't want your family member to go to. And also keep in mind that you do not have to go to a nursing home. You can have in-home care, you can have services at home, so you can stay out of that environment. Discharge planners, my experience, They're not in nursing homes. They have not a clue what's going on in there. So they're just looking at a sheet of paper. So the consumer needs to go look at the facility, go look at the state office records, public records, to see the background of that facility. It's not going to be the whole truth, but it's going to be better than nothing. And just be vigilant. If they have to go into that environment, you have to, and keep in mind that for family members, there are no visiting hours in nursing homes. You have access 24 hours a day. They cannot keep you out of the facility. Visiting hours are posted only for visitors that are non-family members. Well, you know, in a lot of people that have done this kind of work, they give up. I mean, and I guess I'm just tenacious enough and angry enough, and I was always a kind of person that wanted to right or wrong. I just don't like to see it happening. So maybe that's why I've got this mission, and this is what I'm supposed to do.
Well, it's insane to us that we're talking about people that you know are closer to the end of their lives than the beginning, and they've spent their entire life doing whatever they do to contribute to society, to build families.
They've built this country, and my family in particular, I'm a first-generation American. My family came over here from Yugoslavia, worked hard. My grandfather worked hard, my mother worked hard, all my family, and we were taught a work ethic. So they helped build this country. They served in the military. They went through World War II. Now we're getting people that were in, well, obviously the Korean War, but we're getting Vietnam heroes that are now getting to the age where they're getting older. They're in their 50s now and maybe not well. So we're getting people that actually help build this country, help save this country and keep it free. And this is the kind of treatment they're getting at the end. It says a lot about us as a society, and it's not very good. Well, I'm going to look down an issue that's a societal problem. You know, maybe it's time that we bring our parents back into our homes. 30 years ago, well, I guess actually after World War II is when women's position changed. And of course, a lot of my girlfriends would kill me for this, but we started working. We left the home. The car played a very big, important part. We fragmented our families now. We don't live under the same roof. My grandmother lived with us till the day she died. She spent one day in the hospital. We took care of our family members. That has changed. Society has changed. And I'm a believer that maybe if the public takes a stance and takes a position and becomes more caring, that maybe that is a solution, that we no longer institutionalize our family members, that we take care of them, we bring them into our own, and maybe all these billions and billions of dollars that are being spent on long-term care, assisted living, etc., could go to the families to get respite care or additional help in the home. But, that's a societal problem, and it's huge. And how do you change that? My mother will never see the inside of a nursing home. Hopefully I won't either. I mean, I hope that my children, if I get to the point where I'm like senile or whatever, that they don't put me in one either. I'd rather die first. As far as the industry getting bigger, I think if there's a political movement to ensure that those nursing homes stay operating, that is something that's very possible, that the so-called industry or the so-called money makers are not going to allow that to happen, and they have more clout. However, I think if the public as a whole stands up and shouts, we're not going to do this anymore, I believe it'll come from the public. It will not come from the system. The system is not going to do it. They have not done it in the 22 years that I've done this work. There's going to be a real need for movement for advocacy. People like me that want to become advocates, but we all need to take responsibility for our health care. And we need to question everything. We need to question doctors. I have great respect for doctors, but I also have a disregard for a lot of doctors too that I see. We make our own choices on what treatment we take for our bodies and our medical care. Doctors make recommendations. They make recommendations for medications or surgeries or how we're going to fix this. And there's a lot of good medicine a lot of wonderful medicine nowadays, but there's also a lot of bad medicine. So we have to take responsibility as a society, take responsibility of our health care, be informed, get information so that you can make an informed decision on what you're going to do. And information is power, and you need the information. And we need more advocates. We need more people that are fighting for the underdog. The system is too bureaucratic. It doesn't happen there. So we have to do it ourselves.